Good evening, Free Enterprise. How y'all doing today? I'm Leggy Starscream, and I'm joined at the booth by Mechalink.
Hello, everybody. All right, so I see what you're talking about with regards to the objectives. This is a nice set.
Yeah, so today we're going to be showing off benbenrx8 versus harumph, both of their first round of Swiss matches over here in the Hook Route. Mecha, do you want to explain to the lovely people what the heck a Hook Route is?
Absolutely. So the first part of the Highway to the Threemus Zone tournament, the Highway to the Threemus Zone tournament, since this is the third, was a 3-round group play. Anybody that had 3 wins got to go on to the table stage. 2
Lucky.
wins. Yeah, no, humble brags, but 2 wins, and you got to go to the magma route, which is in the randomizer, the easier way to get underground, and 1 or 0 wins put you in the hook route, the hardest way to get underground. So I don't know why they didn't call it table instead of underground, but whatever. But
They're trying to be hipster about it.
I guess, but that is what the hook route is. Your goal is to go 2-1 in the 3 weeks of Swiss that each group has. The hook route and the magma route both have the same structure. It is just that more people qualify out of magma. So hook is, by numbers, the harder route, with technically people who placed better earlier, but that does not mean that this is an easy route. that magma is an easy route by any means. And hook.
Indeed.
Right. So yeah, these
because
objectives...
not only...
Oh, no, go
Sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, because not only do you have to win at least 2 of your 3 games here in Swiss, you would then have to go into giant group playoff races where only the top runner from each one of those races gets to go on to the table stage.
Yeah.
And so...
Play-in races with only 1 winner are really hard.
Indeed.
They are very hard. Last Highway to the Threemus Zone type tournament, we had a lot more group qualifiers. And right, like at the end, there was like a race where I had to get top 3, right? Like, and that was pretty bad, right? Like having to win a big play-in race where you have to be top 1. That's a rough one. And you know, magma route, instead of first, each of the play-in races is the first 3, so it's a little more lenient. But still, not easy for anybody involved. These objectives are, you don't need to do anything on the moon unless the rat tail's on the moon.
Yeah, because if you can get underground, which you will be able to do eventually, you can defeat the bosses of the Dwarf Cave. That's something most of our runners are wanting to do anyway, because with the warp glitch enabled, that's 2 key item checks.
Yep.
Raising the Big Whale is the Darkness Crystal, which has to be somewhere on the blue planet.
Yep.
And then it's going to be interesting, because if our runners get a magma key, and that's their underground access, both of the other 2 objectives require 2 key items. If they have to use the hook to get underground, that third objective becomes a little more favorable. But we'll see what happens as they get started.
All right. The small child comes up and meets themselves.
Gets a pass. So that makes the moon even more haunted, because if we can complete 3 of the 4 objectives without pulling any of the key items from the moon spot, we don't even need to go up there. We just need to wake up the big whale. Yeah.
Valor and Dragonaut caught me. I was clicking something. I put it down. My mistake. So, yeah, that pass definitely kind of speeds things up in theory. But right now, we've only got 2 kids, so we've got, 100, 200 HP total.
Yeah. Luckily for us, in this particular flag set, we have a bunch of free characters waiting for us all over the place. Looks like both of our runners are going in opposite sides of Watery Pass, so Harumph is going to be our first look at our next character.
Ben going in the back to check the 4 chests here. Well, 4 chests if some of them weren't already opened. Has somebody already looted these characters' seeds?
Yeah, so as it turns out, one of the other flags enabled this is sparse 60, which means that 60% of, I think it's 60% have treasure in them, or is it 60% are empty?
60% have, 40% empty.
Okay. So we are going to find a number of empty boxes as our runners run around, which means that compared to prior tournaments you may or may not have watched, we'll probably see our runners doing a little more time looting just to get the same quantity of treasure.
That's right, and you can see, you can see a chest open before you get there, so you'll see people routing, like, not walking the full way, or walking to a room that only has, 2 of the 3 chests you expected, right? So it kind of changes the way that the looting goes as well. We saw Sid ready to babysit the kids with his big bushy beard. Santa Claus is...
his big bushy beard and massive pile of hit points.
Yep. He definitely increased our hit point total, and we have Grandpa in Damascene.
Ooh, harumph goes a little bit deeper and pulls a dwarf axe out of the second room of the watery pass, second to last room of the watery pass, which not only allows Sid to become back road, thereby allowing him to do his full damage when he's in the back row of the party, but it also is useful for agility manipulation.
Yep. No, that's the dwarf axe is a very fine pickup. It's not one of those things. It's like, yes, an Avenger. It's a standout weapon. No, but the dwarf axe quietly does its work and then settles into your inventory for the Threemus fight if you need it.
So just like Sid in the actual plot.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just does this work? Argues with Edge on the airship, and then we all move along. Although in after years, he does teach Luca how to airship, so that's real nice.
Yeah. Tella is actually one of the better pickups here, especially early on in the game, because he does have just that nice broad suite of spells, including being the only character, I believe, to have exit from the word go.
That's right. He has exit from the word go. He has cure 2 to start without any experience gained, and life 1. All of those are things that the other characters don't have to start as white mages. So his white mage potential out of the gate has very high utility. And we have second Grandpa.
Wow.
Third Grandpa.
So I heard you like Tellas.
There are people in this community that definitely like Tellas. I find Tella useful, but not. I'm not the hugest fan. We saw an irrelevant boss at the waterfall.
Yeah, that was Dr. Luge, I believe.
That's right. It was luggage. Yep, luggage at the waterfall. Because the objectives in this time are all set to quests and never bosses. The only boss, quote unquote, that matters is Derek Mist.
Yeah, it looks like Harumph is now in the Antlion Cave, going down to get that first key item check. Opened a few nice things, including an Ashura Orb, a Protect Ring, and everyone's favorite Cursed Ring. Wow,
the Protect Ring will go on one of those kids and keep them very much alive. And the rest of that, the Cursed Ring is more agility manipulation, and the rest of that is sailbait. Charm Claw, also sailbait. It's not even worth anything. Charm Claw is one of the least exciting claws to open. We got 11 bows in 11 bows for 10k. What a bargain! In Mysidia. Yeah, Lilith Rod is the third best magic rod.
Indeed. And really, anything you can do to boost these kids' magic stats early is going to give you a decent advantage, because they will start getting their level 2 spells fairly quickly.
Yep. We also saw a Cursed Ring in Mysidia, so apparently Antlion was just sourced from Mysidia today. Somebody went to Mysidia and dropped off a bunch of stuff in the Antlion chests. I see. Harumph has named their characters after a variety of salads.
Interesting.
Cobb, potato.
Yeah, I hadn't taken the chance to get a good look at those names yet.
Mm-hmm.
And finds the Magus sisters.
The Magus 3. 1,000 hit points split between the three of them means that they are fairly squishy. The magic at this spot is reasonable, if not insane. So, but their timing was off. They need to work on that. And Cindy takes the first Delta attack to the face, and these twins finish that off.
Indeed. Getting Ice 2 right away is going to be super nice. The level 2 spells are a significant boost in power over the level 1s.
Right. And there's our hook. Half of one of the objectives, as well as a way underground. You will note that Harumph used Twin despite having 2 black mages. That is just the nature of the game. The Twin spell doesn't really look for the opposite Twin, it just looks for a second one. Alright, with the hook, Harumph is not carrying their thing. They are checking the second open boss spot, the Mist Cave. There's good loot in this cave. Also a boss. No thank you. Mage Heavy Party v Valvalus. Ben deciding how they want to take care of this. These Magus Sisters had done a little more coordination, so the wall is up in time. Not quite enough to take out Palimpsest, though. And there's our comet. Harumph getting around to Mysidia. We'll find a double Grandpa shortly. And Ben gets the hook news. Ether ones. Ether ones are sufficient for various purposes, especially the Mage Heavy Party. Wouldn't be surprised to see somebody pick those up. Stores Rages are a useful tool to have, and picking up a 10 stack is basically a given. Star Veils, we start with a few, but it's usually nice to have more.
Yeah, looks like the Mysidia item shop was fairly loaded.
Yeah, we missed it with all the action happening, and Ben wants to see who is up on the smaller mountain.
That is a Dark Knight.
Facing off against their mortal enemy, an octopus. A rock octopus. It's swimming through the rock.
So that's an interesting choice of pickup, because on the one hand, this party desperately needs another physical fighter. On the other hand, Cecil in this particular flag set is a little spicy because of the way that we have agility working.
And we see Harumph make that exact decision that Cecil's not who they want. Because yes, we are using the old vanilla agility. Back at the beginning of the randomizer, we just used the vanilla agility because that's how it worked. We then took that away, so you could use anybody as the agility anchor, and we brought it back. Vanilla agility being that if Cecil's in your party, he's your anchor. If there's 2 Cecils in your party, the one that is higher in your character list, which is to say middle slot, top slot, bottom slot, second from the top, fourth from the top, is the character order. It's the order that you do when you do L and R, right? Like, is actually in character order, not in menu order. So,
yeah. And one of the interesting things about that is typically Cecil, especially once you get one of the endgame Holy Swords, is just a complete powerhouse and is an obvious pickup for most runners. But with the vanilla agility, because of the amount of agility manipulation runners really need / want to do in this game, we've noticed opinions being a lot more mixed on whether or not you want to take Cecil.
That's right. In the end game especially, since enemies norm themselves to your anchor, whether it be Cecil or your middle character's agility, the ability to change what agility you're at can change the speed of the enemy relative to the rest of your party. And that can be a very useful tool. And given that one of our players took Cecil and one didn't, you will see that in this seed, as Harumph will have the freedom to pick different characters to sit in that middle spot, and possibly with different agilities, whereas Cecil's agility scale is a pretty reasonable range, but notably it's higher than the mages. So a vanilla Cecil in the center slot makes all your mages slower than him, just by nature, and that's not necessarily a great thing if your team is all mages.
Yeah, though you can manipulate that a little bit with things like the Dwarf Axe and the Cursed Ring that we've found.
Yep, both of those, the Dwarf Axe 5 agility, the Cursed Ring 15 to all stats. By reducing those, you can put Cecil back below the mages where he belongs. In the meantime, we saw Mylon and friends, and the Adamant, so we are halfway to either of the gated objectives.
Indeed.
Wow.
So it's going to be very interesting how this shapes out, because each one of these objectives only requires a single key item at this point, except for 4, which we do currently have access to with that hook.
Yep.
So we could see some of our runners doing different choices depending on what checks we make over the course of the seed.
And we saw there in the Fabul Shop Illusions, one of the Japanese-only items that you didn't see in the US when playing Final Fantasy II, but have been undummied here to provide some more interesting options. Longswords in the weapon side, which would be great if we had an edge.
Yeah, it looks like Harumph is now checking out the Chocobo Forest just south of that mountain.
60%er. And it's a silver.
The Chocobo Forests will always have an item in them, and I hear that those item weights are actually pretty dang high.
They're pretty dang high, but with Sparse, it's 60%, right? So you can brick. Right. So, but if they're there, they are definitely high. The raw Chocobo Forest.
There's a Rosa.
And now I think they do have to make some choices. Well, they didn't have the 5th character, but when Ben sees that, right, they will have to make some choices. Do they want 2 black mages, or black mage and a white mage, or do they want to get rid of Tella? We're getting a lot of character choices early.
Indeed. I mean, and of course, we can sit back here and armchair pilot, all we want. I know that I have personal preferences, and I imagine Harumph, knowing that he has that life staff in his inventory, was very happy to see and take that Rosa, while Ben seems to be mostly focused on doing his early shopping.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shops out there. We have already seen the Cursed Ring, but we haven't seen Cure 3s like that, which are a tool you want to have access to. Kamikazes. Blue Robe. Can it be? It is!
And there's the old gauntlet on the mountain.
That's right. So the original Fabul Gauntlet had just, Baron Guards and monsters mixed together. So to spice it up, we've made it so that with the Alt Gauntlet flag on, which is on in this tournament, it takes 5 encounters from the nearby area, with a few exceptions on what the nearby area means. It tends to be slow because it's 5 fights, and in some places can be exceptionally difficult, for instance, on the moon.
Indeed. But here, with the 2 mage kids with their level 2 spells, the Cid for being... The Cid as a nice damage sponge and physical attacker, this isn't the worst.
So this particular set of enemies switches elemental resistances or weaknesses away and towards fire, right? Like some of the enemies absorb fire and some don't. And we see Ben ditching Cecil now that Rosa has shown up. But that means that having the twins able to twin cast, as opposed to just being stuck on magic, actually makes some of these fights cleaner. Because otherwise you end up doing like an Ice 2 area and then a Fire 2 area to clean up the mixed weaknesses. So that's kind of a minor thing that happens up on these mountain fights. And then we did see Ben ditch Cecil, so womp. It is strange to me that you would ditch Cecil after going through the effort of killing the Hob spot for him.
Yeah,
I like Rosa, but that Hob spot thing was a big commitment. You can always come back.
Right. And I definitely agree that taking Rosa there was the right play.
Yes.
But yeah.
And we see Ben running into that weakness thing I thought about. The spirits, right? Like the firebomb took out all the three in the back row, but the spirits stuck around and now they're wasting your time.
Indeed. But Lit 2 is going to go out and clear that first fight of the gauntlet.
Yep.
And of course, with only a hook in our runner's inventory, I imagine both of them are thinking in the back of their mind, okay, what do I need to do to get ready if I have to go down the hook route?
Yeah. Right, like the hook route, the biggest thing is that at the end of the hook route, there's a boss with 25,000 HP, reasonable stats, and a firm disliking of your face. And that can be a problem, especially when in front of them there's a boss with high speed, high physical, 6,000 HP, and an extreme disliking of your face.
Indeed. But with two Palums, if we can get them up to Virus or even better, Quake, some of the people who could be at those spots suddenly become a lot less terrifying.
Yes, but that requires level 23 on the Palums, and that's a reasonable amount of experience to get in the overworld. A nut about experience, right? Like one thing about the Gauntlet is that it has their vanilla experience for each fight. So for example, that 3390 that Harumph just got out of that last fight, like this entire spot is normally worth about that much, right? Like a little more for the vanilla Mylon fight. So you got more experience here than you would normally. And so that does help them out on their quest to get to Quake. And so that might be why you brought it up.
Yeah, and also thinking about things like whether or not our runners are going to spend a lot of time looting Castle Eblin or Cave Eblin, looking for the various monster in a box that you can find in those places.
Yep.
Ooh.
Guards
Medusa Arrow's getting the petrification.
Nice. And we've got guards from behind for Harumph.
Easy mute cast from Rosa trivializes a lot of the nastiness that they offer.
Yep, the guards have three things going for them. They punch reasonably hard in general. When you physically attack them, they will turn you small. And when you magically attack them, they will turn you pig. And those are all very reasonable responses. The problem being, of course, that when they're muted, they only have the punch. In some spaces, that could still make them very lethal. There's been more than one runner who has muted them, thought the fight was free, and then been punched to death.
Indeed, but in this spot, it's a little less terrifying, and I believe they're still vulnerable to the petrification from Rosa's arrows.
Yeah, they are vulnerable to petrification. They have basically no protection because they are actually a random encounter, more or less, just kind of shoved into a boss spot. There are a few, like the Full Gauntlet, these guards. There are a few bosses that, in essence, are just random encounters shoved into boss spots, and in the flag set we're using, they have all of the weaknesses of being normal enemies shoved into boss spots, which is to say, a lack of boss bit, a lack of boss, status resistance. The heavy status in Final Fantasy V. Ninja shirt. Second ninja shirt, as somebody notes. That's not helping us.
Yeah, guarded by the King of the Dragons, Bahamut. We're probably going to see both of our runners taking this out regardless, because getting those spells for Tella is going to be fairly important.
Yes. Tella, without the ability to cast anything better than a Fire 1 or a Cure 2 and a Life 1 and a Blink, right? That's why we took him early, but he's much better when he gets access to the rest of them. And I think... No, Soma Drop was a different race. I was thinking we saw one we haven't yet. All right.
Yeah, that Soma Drop could prove important because we still have some of the fairly reasonable HP spots left. Mm-hmm. And if we can feed Tella that Soma Drop, he will be able to start dropping rocks.
We even have Vanilla Baigen, so we can use the pseudo-vanilla strats of meteoring down Baigen. In the vanilla speedrun, you agility glitch Tella to get access to Meteo. Here, we could just do it the legitimate but Japan-only way. And Ben following close behind Harumph with the unlocking of Tella and the Cecils that we no longer have. And that leaves the last spot that we know of on the overworld, the Baron Inn spot, which neither of them have checked.
Indeed. This is another character as well as the key item. If this is the Magma Key, this could change the... Wow, it smells like vanilla in here.
Yeah, no, that's good, vanilla. I like vanilla. And then we've got CPUs, which with 400 HP spread between them, got 333 HP or so on the CPU, leaving a scant 33 each for the Hacker and Defender. I feel like they can take this.
Indeed.
The question is, what comes afterwards in the much higher HP spot? And then, yeah, this is, like I mentioned, this is the last spot on the overworld. We've already seen the floating bosses, so unless D-Mist is hiding at the Maga Sister spot, that this will kind of determine how necessary Hook is to get underground. And...
Yeah, because this could be a Magma Key. It could also be a rabbit hole here on the overworld if it's something like the Earth Crystal or the Baron Key.
And speaking of monsters turned into bosses, these are the Dark Imps. They're in vanilla. They're guarding they're operating the cannon in the underworld. Today they're a little over 1,000 HP each of punch, and that's all they do is punch. Twin making a good dent in things, but we see one of the tunas take a 2-digit hit and one of them take a 3-digit hit, and that's because this spot is pretty punchy as the vanilla karate fight.
Indeed. Ben is hot on Harumph's heels, getting through the CPU fight fairly reasonably.
Who knew that the CPU, that the orbs were vulnerable to diseases?
It's a computer virus.
Yeah, I guess so. Palom's flexing his hacking skills, really moving into the 20th century. So kudos for him. I mean, he wants to be a sage. He wants to learn every kind of magic, and in some realms, that is a type of magic. Made the Ascension shout out. Luca Key. That's not something we have access to at the moment. Waldorf salad, really? Okay, yeah, sure. See ya, Yang.
Yeah, Yang's actually a pretty interesting character because he scales super well with levels, but you kind of have to be able to feed him that experience. There's that Soma Drop.
Yep, you gotta feed him roughly like 25 levels like 20 to 25 levels before you really start feeling his power. But after that, he really does start to deliver. And I mean, I'm a big fan of Yang. Yang definitely got me a win in my group stage. But you know, again, kind of like Tella, he's got some uses and he's got some significant drawbacks. But they have exhausted the overworld. We'll see if Ben wants to check for Derek or not. But Harumph knows that unless they're willing to do the keyless Zot dive, that they are going Hook.
Whew, that is a terrifying set of words you just said there.
I mean, technically possible. The worst kind of possible. Maybe the best kind of correct, but it's the worst kind of possible.
Right.
And so they go into Cave Ablana, where the ninjas have fled after somebody blew up their castle. And we'll see the first of the gated shops. While our treasures are wildish, our shops are standard. And so the best shop stuff is behind key items. In this case, wine and coffins. Ben, meanwhile, finishing a bunch of shop checks. And wow, that was a fast check for the Sand Ruby person. I could not see who it was.
Yeah, I unfortunately missed it also.
Yeah. Wizard. Wizard's actually pretty decent gear for this party. Sells all those ninja shirts. Buys 3 wizards and puts them on children. And who gets the third? Is it Rosa or Tella? It's nobody. Staleman chest. They're so stale, they'll make you fall asleep.
Yeah, reasonable experience if you don't want to go dive through the Castle Evelyn, which does have fairly nice equipment if you're willing to make the investment to go loot it.
It does. Castle Evelyn, despite being bombed out, has a lot of chests still in it. Coffin doesn't work on these, and Odin, which was their grimoire use, did not work either. This fight is rapidly slipping away from Harumph. Rapidly. And there goes Sid and a reset.
Yeah, the stale men can often be a little spicy.
Yeah, with that ability to sleep, you might think that you have, a reasonable setup, and then all of a sudden, one of your characters is sleep locked. The lack of being susceptible to some of the insta kill items, ninja swords, how nice, sorcerer robes, right on time, is that they are kind of a little annoying sometimes, and their experience isn't even all that great. But the key item can be choice, or rather, the treasure item can be choice. The treasure weighting does give preference to better items in trapped chests, no matter where. Yep. And this time,
indeed.
Yeah, Ben not really looting. Karate, huh? You know what beats a karate?
Paladin Cecil.
If only Ben still had access to one of those. Harumph sure does.
Right? It does manage to find a summoner kid.
Yep.
And a sylph orb right in that box.
Interesting. So summoner kid, pluses summoning, minuses starts at level 1 with 30 HP and 10 MP. Spell progression is worse than Palom's, but does get warp earlier.
Yeah, which can often be relevant in seeds where you aren't coming down through a hook route.
Yep.
But with the levels that the Palom has, gaining access to the warp Yep, I believe it's 32.
Palom is 29.
Okay.
And Rydia's like 23 or something. Or no, sorry, Rydia's like well before that. Like she's like
Rydia's like 12.
Rydia's like 12. It's really early. So yeah, that's, I mean, they're definitely without sirens, right? Like their kids aren't going to have warp, but Tella will have warp, and so they're not really concerned about that. Rydia is slaw. Slaw is not a salad. Harumph.
Yes, I believe that is the appropriate sound based off of your opinions.
I didn't get a harumph out of that guy. Harumph. All right, we've got Battle Speed 2, and Harumph might be going to get that Cecil.
Indeed.
Ben gets the first look at King Queen Evelyn, and it's dolls. Ooh, this could be bad.
That's definitely spicy, though that HP pool being divided so many ways is useful. However, because the red dolls have significantly less HP than the blue dolls, if you don't time your AoE casts right, you do run the risk of having the big doll show up.
Yeah. HP ran out, and now there's nothing but cows left, and when you only have cows left, that's how you get a cow Braina.
Oh, the virus does not take the entire pack out. There's the big doll.
Now Big Doll's gonna be punchy. Big Doll has a lot more tools than the baby dolls do. Additionally, if the big doll gets too low on HP, it breaks back into the baby dolls. So yeah, the big doll is probably gonna take down any of the mages in one hit. We'll see how much HP she's got.
Whew.
There it goes.
Down.
Right. Tiara and Dragoon. Okay. And yep.
So
the mighty Caesar salad is what Cecil has been named, and with that Cecil, Harumph is more than ready to take out this karate spot.
Yeah, we'll see whether or not he decides to play it safe and take a save before going in, but it looks like the answer is no.
No, Ben's ready to try this out. They have Blink on Tella at least. I don't think they have Blink on Rosa yet, but they are gonna try and virus him down.
Yeah, I appreciate their moxie.
Yeah.
But we'll see how well it works out for him.
Yeah. All right. We saw the Dwarf Axe be used to back row glitch Cecil briefly before the lightsaber was put in his hand.
Which is definitely a reasonable weapon for a Paladin Cecil. I believe it is his third best.
Fourth if you count defense.
Fair.
Right. And then Avenger, right? Like Avenger is just its own type of thing. The Paloms are not doing a lot against Karate, but Karate is not actually doing a lot of damage here either. So this fight's probably going to be a win for Ben.
Yeah, the only question will be whether or not Harumph taking the time to loot Castle Evelyn is going to give him a speed advantage coming through this fight, whereas Ben will probably make it, albeit a bit slower.
Yep.
Though the speed off the Karate Man is definitely proving troublesome.
Oof. Yeah, that's the speed. The damage isn't necessarily high on the kicks, which means that you should be able to keep your party up with a white mage, but that Rosa went down from the front row, and that's bad. That's real bad. Sid in the front row. Yeah, Rosa in the front row is not helping you out here, and takes the reset back before the Calbrana dolls. And yeah, the Leonhardt making the point in chat that kick and Life 1 are an anti-synergy. That kick keeps you from using Life 1 to get people off the ground. So yeah, like once the karate fight starts to go sideways, it becomes very hard to recover. Because the kick keeps you from getting anybody off the ground.
Yeah, And one of the things of note is I don't think Ben opened the Mad Ogre chest here.
No.
Which, depending on how... Ooh, gets Odin off the Grimoire to take out the dolls.
Yes.
Beautiful.
It's an interesting thing. Only the front row dolls are technically vulnerable to death. But if Odin makes the check and decides, yeah, I'm good, we're going to do this, it doesn't matter. That just doesn't happen at any spots, right? Like there's no other spot that has the mix kind of like vulnerable to death and boss bit situation.
Ben not going to save again.
I mean,
given how the karate fight went last time, I'm not sure I agree with that play, but if it works out, it does save him the time of walking there and back again.
So the Rosa adjustment, putting her in the back row to try and keep her alive, that's smart. Like I said, like if you can keep your white mage kind of healing through the kicks, right? Like then your mages are going to be able to keep going, keep dishing the damage, right? Like I would love to see some blinks out here. Yep, love to see some blinks out here. And then Rosa can spread some Cure 2s and keep everybody up, and the fight would be beatable. Meanwhile, Harumph is trying to claw their way through the triple Mad Ogre fight and manages it, getting the XP for Cecil and a key item. Or not key item, a treasure item. And it's the Hanzo Steel, not for this seed. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah. We'll see how this goes. I'm trying to bring Atella back, and hopefully can get some more blinks up. Made good use of the illusion items to get some extra blinks off, but even when slowed by one stage, the Karate Man is still very quick.
Yep. Yeah, no, I mean, this is, right, like, this is exactly, the spot has 25,000 HP, and we saw Harumph go and get Cecil because that will make the fight require much less than 25,000 HP of damage. Ben has to do the full amount, and that means keeping characters alive for the full time period. Like I said, like, we see Rosa managing, right, like, to keep them from getting kicked down, but... yeah, it's not easy, but...
Yeah, and especially with those kids only throwing out just under 1,000. I've seen like 700 to 1,000 damage per virus, so that's going to be a minimum of 25 casts.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, but... yeah, so like we were saying before, where like now that they got it under control, they'll win, but it'll be slow, right? Like, because now I think we have things firmly in control. Oh, I missed the item from the trap chest on the right side.
I did too. We'll see what's here at the Staleman Skull chest. As it looks like Harumph now has Quake for his kid.
Yep, Quake solves a lot of problems. Quake is a huge increase in damage, as well as being default AoE, and that you are not supposed to have Quake this early. You do not keep Hallam long enough for him to get Quake in vanilla, and you certainly don't get Quake out of Rydia. Crystal Sword.
Okay, that's going to pay dividends for Harumph.
Yes, Crystal Sword is... we were talking about the order of Cecil's weapons. Crystal Sword's #1 with a bullet.
And you want to talk about the rating of weapons for characters in general in this game? It's Crystal Sword...
Crystal Sword #1 with a bullet.
Yeah. And this is going to be huge for Harumph. He's going to get through this karate fight super fast. He now has a solution for basically all of his damage questions for a while. It will
we have
make
Dwarfax and Cursed Ring, right? Like, so we have all the agility tools that you need for a Cecil anchored party, right?
Yeah, he will have to be a little bit careful about where he ends his grind at the end if he wants to bring that Cecil up. But in general, this is going to basically cover most of his sins.
Yeah, no, this like Crystal Sword Cecil does a lot of work. Not only will we keep side mentioning the karate script right as karate cues up the second kick. At any point after that, if Cecil hits him, he just goes ouch and falls over. So that is why you would go and get Cecil, right? Like seeing karate as Harumph did, and so while Ben got to this fight well before Harumph, Harumph is going to, if Harumph is going to clear it shortly after Ben, if not beforehand, because Ben is back in trouble again. Links have worn off on a lot of characters.
And he's definitely run very, very low on MP on those kids.
Mm-hmm. And that's, we see the Ether ones that I talked about earlier, right? Like, they can do the job in a pinch, but Virus is like 20 MP. That is, an Ether 1 is only 2 viruses if it rolls high. You mentioned the fact that it would take 25 casts. 25 casts is, 500 MP between the two of them. That's a lot of MP.
Indeed. And the sheer amount of extra damage you get from a Quake compared to a Virus for only 10 extra MP usually makes getting your kid up to, or in this case, kids up to Virus, very, very worth it.
Yeah. No, Virus is an upgrade over the 2s, and Quake is basically it works out as being double power over Virus, right? Like, just because of the way that the math works in the game. Oh, and Palom is being outsped badly, which means that swing and kick, and that's a wipe for Ben. Oh.
That is super unfortunate.
That's super unfortunate. A long fight, right? Like, a long fight that didn't pan out, and that's, like I said, like, Harumph is probably going to get through before, even though Ben was there first, and once Harumph is through, right, like, they start to snowball, right, like, they get access to better chests, better experience, right, like, so, yeah, that's a rough one for Ben, really rough.
Yeah, it looks like Ben is taking the opportunity to pivot and go look for probably the Mad Ogre chest, but...
Yeah, I mean, we are close, right, like, the life-glitched Mad Ogres, I wouldn't be surprised if that gets him to Quake. Silent Staff out of the Mad Ogre chest, not really what we're looking for.
100% get him up to Quake, but it is also a bit of backtracking, and Harumph has done all that extra looting, has a Crystal Sword Cecil.
Right. 2 Dragon Whips! Those are getting sold. We've got Elven Bow with Medusa. The Elven Bow have to do good work. They're fast. But there we go. No life glitch. That's not what you want to see. And Harumph is very much past Ben at this point. Going to say before their dance with the Calbrana dolls.
Indeed. Ben is showing some heads-up play, getting weeks off on the Mad Ogres to make them very easy to take out.
Yep. Mad Ogres have a smattering of their own kind of pseudo-resistances, but again, they're just a normal enemy. They are susceptible to a lot of stuff. Weak being one of them. One of the things that is size being another, as somebody in chat notes. You can make tiny ogres. Tiny ogres. So mad, so adorable.
Honk.
And yeah, Harumph joins the fight. Slows down the dolls. We see the dolls here being much faster compared to the relative speed of the party because this Cecil is your agility anchor. right? Whereas like Ben was able to like get Virus in front of the dolls, right? Like here we saw the dolls get off a number of punches before Harumph was able to take action. Right? Like that is exactly the effect of agility anchoring in this game. Of course, Harumph being higher level with Quake, we're not gonna really have a problem with the fight. but yeah.
And unfortunately, Ben took a wipe to the Mad Ogres.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it didn't quite look good enough. I would definitely have better arrows on Rosa if I wanted to use that mage weakness, because the Mad Ogres are mages for some reason.
Yeah, I don't envy Ben's position right now. He's going to give another try on these dancing dolls, which in the past have not proven an issue. So I wonder if he'll clear this and then go save.
Ouch! And there, the Rubicante spot is down. Karate shaking his way into the Shadow Realm, and
is our first runner through to the underground at just over 47 minutes.
Yep. That's a pretty, maybe a little slow, but still fairly solid hook time. Right? Like usually this is the kind of hook time you get when you had to do all of those checks. So, right, like you did all that overworld kind of extra looting. So Harumph getting through it this time is, pretty solid. And now, as I said, like the underground's their oyster. They apparently don't care what's at the top of the tower, so we hope it's the worst possible thing for them. And
then going right back into the karate fight, turning down the battle speed, which I definitely am a fan of playing not on battle speed 1.
Yeah.
Just because it gives you a little more time to make sure you get all of the inputs you want in, and helps the game not get away from you.
Yeah, it's the case that in the vanilla speed run, you choose battle speed 1 because you have everything perfectly planned out, right? Like every single action, you know what it's going to do. When it comes up, you're never going to drop anything. That's not the case in the randomizer, right? Like you don't know whether you're going to run buffer in this fight. You don't know whether, so battle speed 1 is is honestly a risk in the randomizer, and you often, drop ATB ticks when you're at battle speed 1, and that is the default that you start at. And we see Ben again taking a bad karate fight while Harumph goes to the Dwarf Castle. Luca, please, Luca. Luca trying to help Ben out there, but we see Kaipo guards bouncing behind the throne.
Kaipo guards being yet another boss that don't have that boss bit enabled and have a few cheese strats of their own. If you take out the officer in the back, the soldiers will just beat themselves up. If you take out all 3 of the regular guards, the officer will run away. And a quick coffin, which is a Japanese-only item that casts Fatal, takes out the officers, and this fight's over.
Yep, the soldiers are about to melee each other. You'll see, it's not just a melee, it's a bare hands melee. It's got the full punchy animation. Right? That's the animation you get when your characters aren't wielding a weapon. If you've ever had the pleasure of having a character with arrows suddenly not have arrows. All right, 38,000 experience with that life glitch. And Pasta's got pretty much her entire spell suite now.
Indeed. Looks like the Mad Ogres are going a little better for Ben this time around.
Yep. Rubicante at the Golbez spot, or Elements, not sure which. Grandpa number 4.
Another Pella.
I'm salad today. And
Quintella.
Rubicante. So as a member of the League of Legs yourself, Leggy, you'll have to dish. Give us some good deets on Rubicante.
Look, get over here, and I will stare you down, and you will shrivel under my glare. Is basically the long and short of Rubicante. Glare hits like a truck, but this spot has not a lot of HP, and I turn, I come back, and the leg is gone, which is sad for us all.
Yep. This is a bad spot for Rubicante. Ultimately, it's just like you said. The magic attack is low, so that Golbez doesn't put you in the dirt. The speed is medium, and the HP is low, and that is not what Rubicante needs. Rubicante needs time to put that cape back up. Needs time to get those glares out. Needs the ability to counter your melee attacks with fire too. If he doesn't get to do those things, he's just not as much of a threat. And objective number 4 is on the board for Harumph. And the warp is online for Harumph. Ben has beaten those ogres, gotten those quakes, gotten their silent staff, and now is in a much better shape to kill that karate man. Being able to do twice the damage for each spell cast will make that fight a lot better for them.
Ooh, get the legend sword from Dwarf Castle, so that's going to be double value.
Oh my. So the legend sword being part of objective 1, do your objectives, everybody, means that Harumph will have 2 objectives on the board, only looking for darkness or the rat tail to get this seed going. With the pass already, that's all they need. We're not far from grind and go mode. And one key item, 2 ways.
And so it's really just a question of which one you find first and how you prioritize your search. You know you'll never have to go look at the moon, because if you find darkness, you're in go mode. So the moon can be just completely ignored this seed.
Yep.
So
very
given
true.
what we have, where would you go first?
Personally, I would White Spear, Artemis Arrows, Life Staff. I don't mind those Artemis Arrows. But so, Grimoire not being as much of a friend this time around for Ben. But so I really wish you'd looked at the top of tower. I really wish that Harumph had looked at the top of tower, because I would be willing to do keyless tower in this position. But without that, I think you just have to do the rest of your freebie loop. That said, if it's not in the freebie loop, Ben's got a chance to get back into this, because Ben's going to do their objectives too. And that means that Ben's going to have 2 objectives done once they're through karate. And then it's a matter of who checks the right spot first.
Indeed.
So yeah, this sort of situation where if Harumph can find the spot, right, great. But if it turns out being top of keyless tower, rude Fey March boss, right, that's time that Ben could angle their way towards success.
Yeah, so we'll see what's here in the box.
All right, karate fight. Quake, 22,000 damage instead of less than 1,000. That is what we wanted to see. I'm a little surprised to see Berserk come out, given how we know the fight goes, but yeah, these Quakes are doing way more damage, and that's going to, if you have to do much less finagling, you won't have to restore yourself with the MP. Those Dragon Whips are gone for the money.
It looks like all that was down here in the Fey March was a white shirt.
I mean, good for Rosa, but that's not what we wanted. That's not what Harumph wants to see, the key item, right? Harumph wants to see go mode, right? They want to see it as soon as possible, especially with those hourglasses.
Whereas the trollier that go mode, the trollier the spot that go mode is in, the better odds Ben will be able to come in and snipe it if he's probably feeling behind, given the amount of time he has invested into this karate fight.
Yep.
He'll probably be more willing to take some gambles. At least I know I would.
Yeah, no, I definitely would. I mean, I think Ben has to assume that they're behind a little, and that means that you have to play like, you know, we have Asura at the Asura spot and a crystal, a moving crystal at
Oh, hi, Wyvern.
Hi, Wyvern. Yeah, I think with all 1 HP that Mega Nuke will do the job. That's not a great spot to see Wyvern at. And Harumph agrees. Does not feel that they have the tools to take those spots quickly or easily. And that's exactly the kind of situation, again, that, like, if Ben gets down there and they're like, I have the Star Veils, right? Like, I feel like I have the tools, and they manage to pull it off, right? Like, that's the kind of thing that... What?
So, as we keep going down, looks like Harumph is doing his dive down into the Fame Arch, which is definitely the correct play. Or at least, in my head, it's a free key item check once you get back up onto the overworld. You don't have any idea where the pan is at this point, so...
Mm-hmm. I agree. Like I mentioned, doing freebies.
And it looks like Harumph is now going up the tower while Ben is continuing through his karate fight.
Yep. But a lot more damage. I would guess that this karate fight's about over, given the amount of time that Ben's been in it. And there it goes. Ben is through karate, sub-hour underground.
Gets a fair bit of levels there. Finally gets the blink on the Rosa, which could be useful if he decides to try the Ashura spot.
Yep. Shure's only offensive action being punching, counter punching at that. Blinks can be a useful tool. Harumph's not checking chests, which is a shame because the Tower of Babel has good chests.
And also not giving us the free peek at the top of the tower.
You could have peeked. I mean, would have known like a few seconds before Harumph got there.
Harumph, indeed.
Harumph. Alright, what do we got? It's a sparkle.
Not Wyvern.
Ogo Pogo here would not be great. This spot has high physical attack. Yeah, D-Lunars here, also probably a problem. Those two are the ones I think I'd like to see least here.
Hey!
There's Ogo Pogo. This spot knows how to punch. Your white mage is not all that high. You have a lot of HP on your physical fighters. You're gonna have to work for it. But thankfully, Rosa with that white shirt, very, very capable of taking a hit, which is going to make this probably doable. But you gotta cure. The spot is fast.
And there's that 4,000 Crystal Sword Cecil, which you love to see.
You'd love to see, but you gotta cure. Magic's gonna count a blaze counter. You like. Okay, that cure for saves Cecil. All right, maybe we got it. But oof,
yeah,
that was dicey for a second. But
yeah,
I think Harumph has it now.
Yeah, this should be like what, 1 or 2 more swings.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, no, that was a little scary, but. And Ogo Pogo does not like bearded men today.
But it goes down.
Or maybe he just doesn't like Wario's.
Too much time lost out in the woods. Oh, that's a green rock.
The party rock has arrived. And that gives a lot of good gear, but we already have a crystal sword. Not looking for
like what else do you need, really?
Avenger, really. But Party
it does
Rock
open up another boss check, two more characters, as well as an extra key item.
Yep, 2 bosses actually. So it does open up only one.
Counting the Mega Sisters is already on the table.
Yeah. So. Yep, and Ben is down, got their white shirt, and is going to go see who's at Feymarch, and we'll see if Ben feels up to the challenge.
That wyvern is terrifying. Depending on how you're feeling about your damage output, the Ashura feels like she could be doable.
But no ability situation there. Ben got priority well before the Mega Nuke queued up. That's the kind of thing that makes it so that the vanilla agility anchoring situation. Ben might actually be able to take that wyvern. I doubt he will, because as you said, that wyvern is terrifying. But the option might well be there for Ben in a way that would be much more annoying for harumph.
Oscar asking if we've found sirens anywhere. I believe the answer is still no, but
I haven't seen sirens. I don't believe we have checked Tamra, but I have not seen sirens anywhere. And harumph doing some of the overroad checks that Ben had already taken care of. Ben deciding that they have gotten everything out of Feymarch they want for the moment.
Yeah, and I do not blame Ben in that situation.
No, I mean, the fact that you might be able to take wyvern doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, and even if I feel like I can take wyvern, that Ashura is going to be much more appealing of a fight.
Agree. And that is Tamra Shop checked with no sirens. We've got the heroin robe.
Yeah. So currently on the table, we still have those Feymarch bosses to check. We still have Sheila 1 to check, and we have the Party Rock key item spot to check.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, there's an Avenger, which is my favorite thing to pair with a Crystal Sword Cecil.
Yep. Actually, my favorite thing to pair with Crystal Sword Cecil is Crystal Armor with the Avenger.
Does that work?
It does. Avenger,
that's
Crystal Armor,
beautiful.
Crystal Sword. Oh, it is a thing of terror. But yeah, no, that was basically all you could have hoped for out of there. We have I saw Stardust Rod in that inventory. If we run into an edge, we've got double Hanzo, right? Like we couldn't have asked for much more. But Ben's about to get the bad news. No sirens on the blue planet, and no edges so far means that the grind options at the moment are limited.
Indeed. And it looks like harumph is following down the rabbit hole of his Earth Crystal. Yep. We'll see whether or not this pays off.
Yeah. Not checking Sheila 1 beforehand. This is exactly the kind of thing that, imagine if Sheila 1 has darkness. Right? Like Ben tears through this, does Sheila 1, gets their darkness crystal, and everything has turned.
Well,
right?
Ben would still have to go beat up his Canadian Nope Rope for that green rock.
But I'm saying Ben doesn't need the Earth Crystal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just imagine if it's Sheila 1, right? Like Ben could, right? Like harumph and Ben could get go mode at the same time, right? Like because Ben just doesn't go and get the party rock.
And then it just becomes a question of
the grind. Right, like if it's darkness, right? Like they both have Tela, right? Like they both have the capability to do a D machine grind. If it's just a rat tail, we're on doors,
right? So darkness potentially also could lead to Sirens in the Moon Shop.
Yep, also true. Right. And I mean, we saw Hourglasses. Sirens in the Moon Shop puts a number of moon grinds in play. But like I said, like if it's not darkness, that Luca key starts to look awful tempting. Arg, says Water Hag. No, thank you, Fourth Tella. And Ben did the kill the grunts and let the guy run away.
Just a little less experience overall.
Yeah, less experience, but it's probably it's easier by far. Kane can wield a defense sword. Kane can wield an Avenger.
I believe that's also a vanilla Kane.
It is. This is one of the many spots that you find that you get your mind-controlled Kane back for a period of time. Fire 2 doing single-digit damage to most of the party. This is not a good spot for Rupkante. That's another Yang. Taco. We got taco salad and Waldorf salad. No, I doubt we're going to see Kane be taken. And not interested in that. Not interested in the Kane or Yang.
Which, if harumph had the capacity to do the D-Machine grind, taking either one of those and hoping to slingshot the character might have been on his mind, but until he sees that Blackrock, I very much agree with that particular play.
Yeah, that's too much of a liability to take one of those and then find out that you're clawing and scraping for experience. And Ben remembers their warp glitch and gets the pink tail. We saw Cecil almost do quad 9s. The D-Lunars do not like the Cecils. Do not like holy damage.
Yeah. And then going to get his Legend Sword, so that's going to be his second objective on the board very shortly.
Yep. Objective 1, Objective 2, and now the question is, right, like, as Harumph leaves the Tower of Zot, was this the play that pays for Harumph, or is...
It is just a ninja sword. No, literally.
It's literally just a ninja sword. The classic, how swords go. You have short, long, middle, ninja.
Harumph now giving us our first look at the Sheila 1 check.
Yep. Lolly Ho, boss made this. White Spear, Artemis Arrow, Gold Apples, and Life Staff. Same things for both. See the Excalibur. Excalibur. And Harumph. What? He is in the underground.
There's a tower key.
Ooh, that makes that keyless tower a little inefficient, but I mean, if that's the case, that sends Ben to the Party Rock, but also to Tower, which is where Harumph is very likely to be going. And
the fact that Ben is going straight for the Sheila check, I think that's going to make up a fair bit of the time that Ben lost to the karate fight.
Yeah, like, again, if it's at Tower, right, like, yeah, if it's at Tower key, right, like, Ben's only going to be a little bit behind Harumph, right, like, and they're both going to be, right, like, trying to figure out how to get that grind done. So yeah, Ben's definitely, right, like, the situation is such is that Ben is in this because of the ordering of things, and Harumph did what, honestly, right, like, I wonder if Harumph falls behind with that 47 clear, going out and clearing the entire overworld and getting that Cecil, because, right, like, doing keyless tower is generally considered a gamble. I wonder if Harumph felt behind to start with. Ben kind of knows they're behind, right, like, but Harumph, right, like, might have felt behind.
you never really know where you're standing. You only know where your particular plays haven't paid off.
Right.
So Ben probably definitely feels behind because, again, all of the time that it took him to get through the bosses of the Hook Route. Harumph could feel fairly ahead,
right?
But knowing that he just went down that rabbit hole from the Earth Crystal, he could be thinking, what if my opponent did exactly what Ben did and got the tower key first, and if this is it, maybe is already on his way to go grind.
Yep. And Ben taking the safety save, not a bad idea since they didn't check the top of the tower. So he's probably not going to have any more trouble with that Leviathan. Not Leviathan, that Ogopogo than Harumph had, and shortly we will see. Yeah, and shortly we will see the item from tower.
And if it's not in here, I wonder if Ben also goes and invests the time in the Earth Crystal play, which unfortunately would
not
set
pay
him
out.
back
Right.
out of time. Not doing it caught him up.
Yep. No, like if this isn't it, right? Like Ben is being led down a path that puts them farther behind, and it's not it.
It isn't it. So pick your poison. Do you go take on Vanilla Ashura? Do you go take on Wyvern at Leviathan spot? Or, as chat pointed out, do you go for the Hail Mary D-Mist in the Sealed Cave?
Yeah. So this is something that people haven't really internalized much. And I know that we both have, that the extra spots, the summon spots and the moon spots are not the same weight as the main spots. There's an algorithm on the wiki. You can go look at it if you want to try and understand it. But the short of it is that a Earth key item spot is just more likely to have a key item than a moon or summon key item spot. Just flat out. So, right, like if they had an even chance of hitting a key item spot, it'd be different, but they don't, right? Like they have a maybe one versus, 2 summon spots. So I think you have to try. The king queen spot, even though the king and queen spots rather. Yeah, and both of them did not validate. Job Dwarf. If we see Job Dwarf, it will only be as right.
Boss.
Yeah, I do love that Threemus, right?
So good.
Harumph taking a nap before one final sleep before facing down some fairly painful bosses.
While Ben is working his way through the nope rope, trying to knock his tele down to not mess up the agility.
Yeah, so I said Ben wouldn't have too much trouble with it, but Ben as a full magic party is taking a lot more counter blazes, whereas Harumph just kind of cleaved through it with the Crystal Sword. We talked about how the Crystal Sword would buy Harumph time. The Ogopogo fight is exactly the kind of fight where it did. And we see Asura go through her script. She changes faces. She uses a white magic spell. Repeat, add Infinium, unless you take an offensive action against her, and then she punches you. And that's the Asura fight in its totality. The counter also moves the faces in a somewhat manipulatable way. And there, Ben is through. And they're about to get their party rock.
Bitch, I feel like today's treasury was about a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, it's not going to be as good for Ben. They don't have an Avenger use. They don't have, right? Like, so they are definitely going to get more money out of it than gear, comparatively. And we see Harumph getting the Star Veil that is essentially necessary to beat the Sura at any high HP spot up. And that means that her white magic is no longer helping her, but those counter punches are still able to nearly level a Cecil from full HP. So don't sleep on it. Asura does not skip arm day.
She's also got legs.
She does have legs, but she definitely doesn't skip arm day.
How do you know those aren't kicks?
I don't. It's possible that she's more of a kicker. You never know. I mean, keep your legs folded up like that. They've got a lot of extension.
Indeed.
Ben quickly through the tower spot, as is almost always the case. There's very few bosses there that don't just fall over. The main ones being ones that have scripted components like Water Hag and Golbees.
So it'll be interesting to see what Ben does once he gets his hands on that magma key, because he does have the green rock in play, but depending on how behind he feels, he might think it's necessary to take a gamble.
Yeah.
Which we know is probably going to be the better play.
Yeah, I mean, and again, the lack of sirens is really constraining their options, right? Like, Harumph would love to have cracked a couple of sirens before taking this spot. Right? I'm not sure what they would have sacrificed to do it, but they certainly would have paid money. And that option's not available to them. Sylph Cave was available, right? Like, but yeah. And we are through Sura.
Aaron Key from the Queen of the Monsters.
Ooh. Alright. Ben heading back topside. And that's enough. Harumph does not want to try Wyvern Spot with that Baron Key sitting there. Unknown Baigen and two unknown bosses, 2 key item spots, a character, and a partridge in a pear tree. And Harumph is... Ben, in the meanwhile, doing what some people thought that Harumph would do and just skipping the treasury entirely. Given their party, I think that's a good play. There's just nothing they want. Like, it's just money.
While we know that, clearing out this tower is not necessarily going to pay off, though I could see Ben making a swap for the Kane or the Yang here, depending on how confident he's feeling in his Oops All Mages party.
Yeah, well, viable White Spear. If you got $130,000 for 30,000 gil, burning a hole in your pocket, the White Spear is literally viable.
I occasionally do at the end of a seed.
Yeah, you can have a lot of money left over at the end of a seed if you're not buying ninja swords, if you're not buying sirens. Ben not saving, which is probably safe now that since he's already seen Wyvern.
Indeed. Though this could start becoming interesting again if Wyvern has either of our pieces.
Yeah. I mean, Wyvern, right? Like, it is entirely possible if the rat tail's on the moon and the Darkness Crystal is all we're waiting for, and Darkness Crystal being behind Wyvern. Entirely possible. And then, it's who can take down Wyvern first. There's... It ain't over till all the items are found. Vanilla Baigen, though, that one's
over until Zeromus did like the flashing and started fading away.
Right. If you've got the flashing on still. Ben gets Ice 3 on their kids. Yeah, Demisted Seal Cave, always a fine option. Hey, did you know that Rubicante is going to be at Dwarf Castle?
Not me.
Huh. That's what Rubicante also learned lightning between the time where he beat him and he decided to be up here instead.
Yeah, I mean, it's standard Sith Lord nonsense.
That's a good point, yeah. He's definitely of right behind Golbez with the Sith Lord energy for sure.
Indeed.
We
have,
King for
I
a
didn't
day.
vote for the Ant-Lion, but I feel like he'd make a decent king.
I mean, I think the Ant-Lions is very much the kind, like, they're not into aggressive actions against neighbors, but if you strike them, they will strike you back.
Though apparently weaknesses include getting sick.
Yeah, weaknesses include only having 4 HP. And that is the end of Ant-Lion. Yeah. Reasonable trade.
Another
no, we'll be getting rid of ya. And then the long walk to the garbage can. No slaw. Slaw is not a salad. Harumph. And as Ben teleports back to Baron with Rose's exit spell, Harumph walks down to the garbage can, and they will both exit Baron, like, not too separate from each other, just from different directions.
Ben getting the sad news about the ninja sword.
Yep.
Now is faced with the dark reality of the land of summoned monsters.
Yep. All right, show me something good. Twin Harp. Twin Harps are not the key item we wanted, but a key item that we deserve.
Right.
Ben's going down, and Harumph is going to Cave Magnus.
For the fans. For the fans.
For the not having to fight Wyvern and Odin, right? Like the Odin spot, the Wyvern spot, and Twin Harp are now Harumph's open options. Or the Demist. So they have chosen the easiest fight of the three, and are headed off to Cave Magnus.
Check the Odin spot, given the fact that he was right there, but still just cards on the table. Could be any one of these 3 spots at this point, leading you onwards, forwards, and upwards.
Right.
Heck, it could even be 2 of the 3.
Yeah. And as I said, right, like a normal spot is worth more. So like this spot is more likely to have a key item than either of the summons. But you were right there, right? Like, and Ben deciding that Asura is the first fight to take, just like Harumph did. No Cecil, but with Quakes should not have trouble. Quake not being affected by Reflect. Oh no, the self-virus doesn't always work out the way you want it. Nope.
Unfortunately, Harumph is going to have to sit back, relax while the Dark Elf goes.
It can be worse. If the fires don't kill him, you can weak into HP ran outs. Oh, and that is the real beating. Weak. Didn't hit the kid. Okay, we're safe. Probably. Nope. HP ran out on Caesar. Don't area virus yourself to get that done. It rarely works out the way you want. HP ran out twice. That is much slower than just suffering.
Indeed. But I think it's time for us to be quiet for a little bit, because DJ Spoonie B is about to play some rockin' tunes.
Certainly some tunes. Maybe not rockin'. royalty from across the cartridges. We have the Figaro brothers theme from Final Fantasy VI.
Indeed. I do love that particular song.
It's a good song. It does somehow manage to work for both of them.
And the turtle goes down. We'll see whether or not Harumph made the right gamble here in 3, 2, Murasame.
Ding! Not quite Hanzo Steel, and definitely just money to Harumph. And that means that it is at one of the 2 summon spots, or demissed at an unknown and undisclosed location.
Which, could still be the Odin Throne.
Yep, could be the Odin Throne. We haven't seen it yet. Harumph taking advantage of Tella's excellent exit magic to return to the Black Chocobo. Oh, they do not skip the Chocobo village. If you hold down when landing the Chocobo, you don't re-enter the village. It is an incredibly minor skip. But it is a skip.
Micro optimizations are not only good, but they also feel good to pull off.
Yep. All right, and Harumph is back. Gonna go check out the Odin spot because it is the closest. Makes sense to me. Bang. Why do you have to pull tab the doors open? Like, why did they do that?
Look, Sid got excited about the new invention. The original king decided to humor him.
Anyway, you were going to say something before I got curmudgeonly.
What we've seen in the seed, I don't care what's here. It's probably less terrifying than Wyvern. Such a Plague.
Yep. Hey, Plague. You're fast, because Cecil's in our party. 9, 8, 7, 6.
Yeah, and in the absolute worst case, you can take this party out front and come in here with Tella pre-dead.
Yep.
But Ben taking out Ashura, going to get his views about the Baron Key shortly.
Yep. Let's see what he wants to do.
I really hope he takes on that Wyvern.
I do as well. There's the Baron Key. I mean, the odds on play are to go to Baron. Walking means that they don't have the mana for an exit.
Have the evil for an exit.
All right, so they are going to go for that as well. He just doesn't want to make that fight.
I do not blame him.
No, I mean this is the odds on. This is the odds-on play. We just know that it's not paid off yet.
Yeah. That said, if going straight in, if he goes right and checks that plague right away rather than doing the twin harp, that could be once again a gamble he could make to try and catch back up.
Yeah. That would be a wild gamble, but it's definitely, you definitely have enough levels to make that a possibility.
Yeah, I'd argue it's a little less wild than some of the other gambles one might do, because you're right there. You've got the levels. You might as well see what the Odin spot is, because you probably have the power to take it out. And it is it.
Yep, one of the 2 items we needed. Now we know. That said, Wyvern is very likely, if this isn't darkness, right? Like, because Rat Tail could be darkness, Wyvern likely is.
Yeah.
So,
the odds are good that this is going to be the Darkness Crystal.
Yeah.
But this is getting exciting.
And that, do we have any more chains? If it's Pan. If Rat Tail is Pan, do you cash in Pan in the hopes that it's darkness.
And
so
given some the plays we've been seeing from Ben, I think there could be somewhat decent odds that he goes, nah, I'm just going to go straight to the Odin throne. I'll come back up for the regular throne.
Yeah, I think that's, like, as you said, I think that's reasonable, right? Like, we have the level. It is technically, like, walk faster, right? Like, it is linear faster because you didn't have to walk back into Baron Castle, right? Like, so it is technically a time save if you can pull it off. Not a huge one, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Crystal, and we get
a Helmet Orb.
That ain't it, Chief. You do not. Wyvern or Demist at Luca has our Darkness Crystal. And that means that the grind options are weak.
Yeah, this just proved amazingly spicy, and the seed is going to very suddenly become a powerful test of our runners' routing and grinding abilities.
Yep, and Ben going for the throne. Will get the Twin Harp and have to make the same decision that Harumph did. If they make the Odin decision, they will save time. And Harumph going... There's no sirens here, Harumph. Where are you? What do you want from here? Pocket swines, maybe?
With the Paladin Cecil, I can definitely see that. Mm-hmm. The coffins are also nice too.
Yeah, coffins won't hurt, although they won't help either against the if you're going after doors. But the pocket swines will not go amiss. It's doors or tear through Wyvern. Yeah, this is nice. Let's see what Harumph wants to do here. We definitely have the key items. Second stop. Magma key. Oh, okay. I love Whelp that's gone.
So Ben is through, going to get his sad news very shortly.
Yep.
So the question becomes, does he just
Sirens aren't in Overworld shops, that's for sure. And this is... do you not remember what's here, or... It's possible that they... Let's see what they want to buy. Okay, they're selling. They've got a lot of stuff to sell, that's for sure.
A lot of really good stuff to sell, dang.
Oh, yeah. Like, I was joking about, like, the White Sphere. Like, we have money for days in this seed.
Yeah, so as that Twin Harp takes the save outside... He's using a tent, so that to me... Oh, apples!
Apples!
Oh!
That is a lot of apples. This. Gold apples worth 100 max HP. That's 2,000 max HP they have to give out to their party. That's a lot of apples.
Yeah, going into the sealed cave, probably going to grind up some doors.
Yeah.
But
gonna top off with apples at the end. With the number of low HP mages, that makes perfect sense. Rosa gets Cure Fort at 38, right? Like, Rosa's ready to go to Zeromus except for HP at 38, right? Like, so, like, if you just cram her full of apples, like, her and Cecil could solo Zeromus.
And it looks like Ben is making what we know to be the correct play of taking on the plague right away.
Yep.
Going for reflect strats.
And succeeding. Again, this is where that we talked about vanilla agility, right? Like, because they don't have a Cecil, Ben is able to get that reflect off easily with that Palom going first, as Palom has been all seed for Ben. And now all the either Plague is now going to do nothing but reapply count. So there's no threat left anymore. It's not. It slows you down a little, but not a problem.
Yeah, it turns it into an incredibly safe fight.
Yep.
Sadly, Plague is a flying enemy, as you can see, so
Quake's
Earthquakes are not effective.
No, Quake is not the weapon. Alright, so they have Cure 4 on their Rosa, but they want a little more. We will see how much Harumph wants to go for in levels. The expected target is the level 45 Cecil for the perfect 28 agility. But who knows?
Indeed. We're definitely in some non-standard territory, let's say.
Yep. And as soon as Ben gets this rat tail, Ben will be joining them in joining us in this unusual territory. We've seen a couple of door grinds this week where I don't think we saw them much, if at all, in the previous 3 weeks.
Indeed. It's just a quirk of the way that this particular flag set can roll.
Yeah, I mean, this flag set, right, generally, right, it targets these sort of, hour 15, hour 30 style seeds, but on the downside, you can get sub-hour, and on the upside, you can get closer to 2, and, that's just the way it is sometimes.
I've been around for, this is definitely one of the longer seeds. I was around for a second place finisher at 52 minutes seed.
Yep. And
Tella dead is an interesting point because that Cecil is currently the agility anchor.
Yep. No, that's a very good point. The agility situation is such that Tella being dead isn't helping you. It's not hurting you because Tella doesn't do anything in the Threemus fight, but Tella being dead isn't helping you here. And so I don't know if it's habit or if Harumph isn't fully understanding of the agility situation, but that's a good point.
Yeah.
Plus 200 HP, he could help. Yeah, 2,000 HP.
Luckily,
and that's 45. We are out of here.
Yeah, one of the quality of life features that Free Enterprise does offer is that experience isn't divided among characters. Everyone gets the full amount. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah,
but Ben is also now in go mode.
Yep, and that's true. The vanilla behavior is the split behavior, so that's a good point too. So yeah, the people that are like, oh, the vanilla behavior has of him being an XP leech. No, that's a fair call. Cure 2s and exits, that ain't it. I believe Cure 3s are in Troya. I don't remember seeing silk webs, which means that I don't know they're probably in Kaipo, since I don't remember seeing them. We never checked. Did we even check Baron item shop?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of shopping that was being checked early while I was paying attention to Harumph's ordeals climb and various other key item checks while Ben was doing his shopping trips.
No, vampires here only. So yeah, I'm not sure where the silk webs are, but alright, Ben has traded away the rat tail. Ding! So Ben managed to skip doing one check over Harumph, which is a little bit of catch-up, but they still need a few more levels.
Yeah, Ben, by being able to fade doing music, is now only a grind behind harumph, which is a really nice pickup.
Yeah. And they're going straight to Troya.
Ben
and
going
doing twin harp?
Maybe just doing the item check? No, they're going for the black chocobo.
Huh. I mean, I guess that it's reasonable to believe this could be darkness and not wanting to do Luca.
Yeah.
We know it won't work out, but I have to assume that's the logic here, is a darkness would make this so much easier.
And, like, you got your pass over 100 minutes ago. It is completely possible to believe that you forgot it.
Yep. All right, and we have Big Pasta, Big Cecil, Big Chief. Yeah, we put 1,000 HP on Sid, and split the rest between Rosa and Cecil. Yeah, this looks like a 3-person party. We're gonna Avenger Crystal with never bought Cure 3s. That's not great. I would love to have Cure 3s if I'm gonna have Sid sitting around. But
so, in the meantime, do you smell that? It smells like destruction.
It does. I think the party we have a bunch of apples. We've eaten them, so we came to kick butts and eat apples, and we're all out of apples. So the flags have begun to come out because Zeromus is a complicated mess of scripts. In an already complicated game, we do not randomize his position. We instead have taken to using the talents of Scala Kitty to give us over 450 different possible sprites for Zeromus to take. So our question, as always, whose butt are we going to kick tonight? Phantom Ryu, we have not seen the Darkness Crystal. It is likely behind a wyvern at Leviathan Spot.
Indeed.
Not guaranteed, just likely. It could be behind Demist at Luca. Or Demist at Package, where the package was behind Wyvern Spot. But and we've put some wine in our potato salad. Gross. And
no one. Yeah, that's as far as I got.
Let's see. No one shakes like Gaston, counter nukes like Gaston, lets out giant big bangs that kill you like Gaston.
As a specimen, yes, he's intimidating.
Ooh, my big nuke from Gaston.
Thank you for covering me there.
Yep. I am reasonable at milking. Yeah, we saw Cecil take the counter nuke, but with those extra apples, stays strong. Right, like, and that was exactly the point.
The big bag does come out right away before we get the heal off. Cecil stays up with all the magic resistance on him, though.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, if Cecil going down here could have turned what should have been a solid fight into, right, like a reset and try again. But yeah, now we've got Crystal Sword Avenger going. We'll see what we want to do with this kid for as long as they stay alive. All right, so they're going to do some minor reflect. To Zeromus only counters with nuke when you use a magic on him, whether that be an item or direct magic cast. Reflected Virus does not count.
Luckily, Tier 4 doesn't count either.
No. Dark Jonas, we assume because they were looking for Darkness Crystal, and I would assume that that's the case now that they're going after the other spot where it could be. I don't know. We don't know whether it's because they do not remember they have the past, or whether he just doesn't want to do Luca Cave door grinding. But we can't say.
Yeah, and like, I don't blame Ben Not wanting to do a door grind. The door grind can be a little rough, and if you aren't comfortable going into the Z fight with sufficiently low levels, you might want to be going for the safer plays, the more common plays.
Yep. In the meantime, we are down to the 3 characters we expected to be down to here. All of them able to take fully powered Big Bangs without a problem. If Rosa can cure them fully, which she can, yep, all right. Rosa can keep them both up forever. As long as that potato salad keeps drinking, Cecil will keep swinging, and this fight will end. Unless a bad nuke or Big Bang into Medio situation tears the party apart. And yep, Speedy Palom, once again, able to, right, like, that's one thing that Ben has had all seed is an excellent agility anchor situation. And
so
it's paid off over and over again for them. It's just that Karate Man fight early just drained too much time from what was otherwise a very excellently played, party situation.
Indeed. We'll see whether or not Ben can keep on top of these reflected dukes off of Wyvern, though.
I mean, in Ninja Debugger, not everybody uses trackers. Trackers are certainly allowed during the tournament as long as annual entry, but everybody has different preferences. Some people are pen and paper. Some people are trackers. Some people are a mix thereof. Whatever tools work for you, as long as you're the one doing the data entry, are valid in this tournament.
Yeah, and since the pass isn't technically a key item, I could see universes in which someone where just loses sight of it.
No, the rules do say that that you should have one to help other people track, but I don't remember the details of that. But no, that's I do remember seeing that.
Yeah. Ben getting caught by Wyvern's wall as he tries to slow the very ugly dragon down.
Yep. But the speed situation again, such that able to get their entire party back up from nukes, mega nuke and nukes.
Indeed.
Right, like, I mean, this is a fight that you're probably going to be able to win. It's just not going to be fast, which has been the case with a lot of Ben's fights here without Crystal Sword Cecil.
Yeah, and with this particular fight, not taking one of those Ridios is unfortunately a bit of a detriment, because something I know I learned recently is that if you hit Wyvern with a summon, he will throw the Mega Nuke back out, which won't be reflected. So if you put up walls and hit Wyvern with a couple of summons, you can almost have a little bit of cheese on this fight.
Yep, no, that's exact. If you have a Ridio with a wall on her, Bahamut Wyvern, and Wyvern will Mega Nuke back, and it's a great party, and Wyvern will die. Of course, if you do that and you don't have your reflex up, you can just wipe your fight. Ooh, Sid is
pointing
down.
out that, of course, yes, this is Kingdom Hearts.
Yep. Sid is down. That's I mean, out of MP. Rosa is running out of MP. And so we've switched to Cure 3ing Cecil to keep him alive.
Definitely unfortunate. Do we know what phase of the Z fight Harumph is on?
We're in nuke phase.
Okay.
Right, because here's Black Hole, right? Like, and if a nuke would come, it would be now, right? Like, nuke phase is Black Hole, nuke, shake, Big Bang. Virus phase is virus, Black Hole. It's like, see, here's our nuke, right? Like virus and nuke switch places in the order. And there's Rosa down. You are down to Cecil.
Which,
Berserk Crystal Sword Cecil has won fights before.
Yeah.
Big Bang. That's not good. He'll survive this, but we'll need him to dodge a Medio, more than likely, if we want to win this.
Yeah.
There, already a shake.
Oh.
Wow.
That's unfortunate.
And there we go. And Harumph takes a wipe on a fight that they prepared very well for, except for not having enough Ether 1s or Ether 2s to keep Rosa flush. And my guess is that's the situation they're going to remedy right now, because Ether 1s... I know we saw Ether 1s, and we probably saw Ether 2s.
Well, there's two ways you can remedy the situation. One is with potions, the other is by putting a few more levels on the Rosa. One of these takes a little bit longer, but it looks like we're going to be selling a few more things off just to make sure we have enough money for that.
Yep. And yes, Cecil is level 45. He is at agility 20.
Oh, yeah, elixirs should...
Elixirs will do the job, yes. Did you know that elixirs will heal all of your MP? All of your MP. Yeah, no, elixirs will...
Oh, is it all of it?
So, yeah, elixirs will do the job. So, good memory there. On remembering that elixirs were there. 3 elixirs should be more than enough to keep Rosa flush and turn that fight into what ended up being an MP, right? Like a fight where MP determined that Threemus was able to race you out into a fight that Harumph is going to win. Yeah, the lack of Silk Web is really hurting here. I noted that I didn't know what Webs was, and it doesn't look like Harumph did either, and that's not having a Silk Web when Cecil is at 28 agility, right? Like putting the Silk Web putting relative agility 2 Threemus into relative agility 3 or 4, right? Like is a huge difference.
So, Wyvern was not holding a darkness crystal. Wyvern was holding high-quality cookware.
Yes, cast iron, the best kind. And Ben is remembering that they have exit. Wyvern, why'd you have to do this? Wyvern.
And so if Ben is looking for that darkness crystal, which we are basically figuring he is going to get that very shortly, unless it is exactly demist at Sealed Cave.
Or demist at Package. Right, like
now
that
would be even ruder.
We have reopened a demist at Package with it being Pan.
Oh gosh.
Right, like if it's Package that it could be hiding there. And Harumph is going to take shot 2 at kicking Gaston's butt. It's tough though. Nobody butts like Gaston.
There's the darkness from the Sylph.
All right, no more trolling. The seed is willing to let Ben out. And so Ben is going to have the full objectives taken care of.
Indeed. And we'll probably go get some of that sweet D money from the D machines very shortly after.
Yeah, D money or sirens in the there's a lot of ways. Once you have Moon Axe, once you have darkness, there's a lot of it's just without darkness crystal, your options are vastly more limited, and without sirens, they are nigh non-existent except for Luca Cave or Sylph.
Yeah, because, and let's face it, sirens are not guaranteed to be on the moon.
No, they aren't. Like,
so,
the odds are that every item has a roughly 90% chance to be in a seed, except like in the raw. But remember that only 30 items are in any seed, right? Like from an item shop, right? Like, and there are 39 possibles, right? Like, so it's actually not 90%, right? Like from that point of view, right? Like it is 30 out of 39 items will be chosen, right? Like out of the list. So, like, and then there's some adjustment for making sure that lives are in overworld shops and so on. But yeah, it's So yeah, it is not a guarantee that Sirens will be there, but the odds are good. Nope, Silk Webs. That's where our Silk Webs were. So Ben will have that tool. But no Sirens. We are on some other option.
It definitely going into Lunar Subterrane.
Yeah.
We did find hourglasses earlier, so we'll just be hoping to take random encounters, or just very interested in who this character is. Because if you're going for the D Machine grind, you are in a prime setup to slingshot.
Oh, tuna salad, you virused yourself. You done played yourself. Edward. Would you like an Edward?
I assume the answer is going to be no.
Ed Warfor. Alright. Potato, Pasta, and Caesar are the three that are up again.
Yeah, and it looks like Ben is going into the Lunar Subterrane.
Yep. Yep, there's plenty of experience down here, more than enough for any level and or layout that Ben wants to approach the fight. It's just a question of what he wants to do. As Harumph is now attempting to defeat Gaston with elixirs to keep Rose's MP up, with the white shirt and the life staff to make sure that her cure 4s are the best cure 4s. This, again, right, like, this is what we thought would happen the first time and just did not anticipate the Sid plus Cecil damage being so low that she would run out of MP.
Yeah, but luckily with the 3 elixirs, being able to fill that MP back up is not going to be an issue.
Why are we lifing Tuna?
And other questions I've asked myself while cooking.
Why is Tuna back? Like, you can't do skip.
Probably just to try and get a little extra bit of cheeky damage off.
Yeah, I guess. Looks like it with Star Veil.
You know, we were talking about... You were just talking about, for instance, how the damage wasn't quite enough last time around, so I wonder if Harumph is thinking picking Tuna back up to get that little bit of extra damage to push him over the top.
Yeah. Sid doesn't have his ultimate weapon. Sid does his best when he is armed by the goddess of the hunt, and when he is not, he is a much worse damage dealer. And so yeah, that is a problem. Bluff strats have been called on Tuna. Oh my, RPG limit break just in time to see some butt.
Yeah, and Ben has started his grind of random encounters, opening with a Trickster.
Tricker. What's Tricker vulnerable
to? Weak against Thunder, apparently.
Yeah, 12,000 HP, weak against Thunder. Alright, good to know. Still in virus phase for Harumph. Spreading around a little light damage. Keeping that Tela nice and low for agility purposes.
Throwing off a Lit 3, which unfortunately was not enough to get the kill, so...
Yeah, so we're going to see the script.
The Tricker tricks.
Yep, we're going to see the Tricker's script. The 3. Pow! Pow! Ridiculous amount of magic power from that Lit 3.
Yeah. Though both of the Palums live, and the Tricker does go down.
Yeah. Yep. Now that's good. Right, like you don't want to see a wipe there, but oof, that is the trick to script. If you've never seen it before, you have now had the pleasure. Remember, kill them with the Lit 3, and it's fine. Kill them with the Lit 3.
On to solo King Ryu, which, unfortunately, because killing the last enemy of a fight ends the battle, you can take no more actions at that time. You can't life glitch solo enemies.
Nope, cannot do it. Can't do it. So this will be a mere 60,000.
That is still a metric buttload of experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's less than an egg, though, and that's kind of why the walking grind is okay, but not sufficient. Well, okay, it's sufficient, but not ideal. Would be the better way to put it.
Mm-hmm. Chad is asking, and the answer is no. We have not seen a single siren in a box, in a shop, with a fox, with a mop.
Nope. Every shop was checked. There are no sirens. There were no edges. If there was an edge, he is at package or giant. There were no edges available otherwise. One Cecil, which one of our runners took and the other didn't. Well, the other one took it briefly and then ditched him for Rosa. And yeah, multiple Edwards, 2 Edwards, 4 Tellas, 2 Yangs, 1 Sid, 1 Kane,
in a pear tree.
2 Palums. Yeah, I mean, we got a good smattering of options, but no edges.
And the Darkness Crystal was behind the Pan at which was held by the Wyvern at Leviathan. Ben took that fight. Harumph declined to because he was in go mode and did his grind by taking on trapdoors and apple eating.
Yep. The Cocoa Shop had gold apples, and when you have no edges, you have a lot of and multiple pieces of Hanzo steel to sell. You can buy a lot of apples.
Yeah, there's rock falling over on Harumph's side of the screen.
Yep. The Meteo is only does around 1,000 damage per shot here. Because they didn't want it to just kill you straight out. So while it is a reasonable amount of damage, I mean, it's less than the Tricker did to Ben over there. And so that's all that Zeromus does at this point. So it is likely over. You have 12,000 or less HP when the meteors start flying and rocks start falling.
Indeed.
Not supposed to heal the boss. No.
But that looks like Gaston eating into the ether.
Yeah, Gaston is down for Harumph. And as none of them will die from a virus tick, that means that Harumph is our winner today. You'll have the official time shortly.
It is an official time of 2 hours, 4 minutes, and 45 seconds.
Whew. GG's to Harumph. The smart remembering of a few items helping them finish out the seed, remembering where elixirs, remembering where apples were, helping them get their party to HP levels that they felt were safe, and allowing them to cruise through the Zeromus fight with a powerful Cecil being the damage carry.
And speaking of, we are now joined by Harumph. Congratulations on that win.
Thank you.
So, I mean, the first thing is, how did you feel when you got through Karate with Cecil at 47 minutes? How did you feel at that point?
Well, very worried at that point here, because I thought for Hook Route here, it was a little too easy, or like it's easier than average here for your standard, for what you could get in the Hook Route here. So I thought I was potentially way behind at that point. And then when I got to Dwarf Castle and saw that the rat tail was there, so objective number 2, I was thought, yeah, I could be in deep trouble.
Yep. No, that's what I figured after thinking about it for a second. And yeah, no, unfortunately for Ben, he did not keep a Cecil around, was not able to quick kill the karate, and had a much longer time, spent a lot longer at that spot. So while
I got through the hook route about 10 minutes after you did.
Mm-hmm. So while I did think that since you basically you super full cleared the overworld, like you 100%ed the overworld, so I kind of felt you would think you were behind. Yeah, Ben ended up being just 5 to 10 minutes behind. Brought it close at a couple points, but that really that difficulty with karate really kind of is it's the biggest story of the seed. Certainly not the only. There are a lot of interesting things that happen in the seed. You're buying of apples for one, not something we've seen a lot of in these flags, but very shrewd.
Yeah, I figured here I hadn't seen an edge. I hadn't seen any sirens.
Yep.
And I didn't have a darkness crystal, so I pretty much had a trapdoor grind.
Yep.
I figured, all right, I was potentially going hybrid at that point, but figured it looks like I have to go Zerker, a very slow Zerker. And since I had, a bunch of stuff here for a ninja here that decided not to show up today, I figure I buy a lot of very expensive apples and get everyone here to relatively safely above Big Bang status here, and hopefully with the Laurel here be able to dodge here, or at least take a potential virus right afterwards as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, then that strategy worked pretty well until you ran out of MP on Cry.
I was expecting Sid to do a little bit more damage, and then Palm here, I was trying to get a little bit of extra damage in here, but I couldn't get the timing of that right. So it's basically just Cecil throwing out, being his Vegematic self, and with a crystal sword here, it does get the job done here. But I need to get a feel like just after the first attempt here. Yeah, need to get some elixirs here just to get that MP refill, and then that should make things easier.
And that's exactly how it went down. Yeah. No, I mean, the good adjustment there, good remembering where things were, right? Little things like, maybe remembering that beforehand would be so yeah, it ended up that darkness was behind the wyvern, but you had to get the pan, you had to hit Yang with the pan first. Man, what a seed. What a seed. No sirens, no edges.
And no darkness crystal required.
No darkness crystal required or available.
Everything was on Earth.
Everything was on Earth. Yep.
And with I guess 2 grind options if you decide, to take the darkness route path here. But I figured at that point here is I could potentially be way behind, so I need to find what I thought would be the fastest way possible. I was thinking trapdoor, buff, and Zerker, and I guess single 1.5 Zerkers.
Yeah, I mean it's much faster than what it took Ben, right? Like even giving Ben right the same time, right? Starting at the same time, it took him much longer to get the Wyvern without Crystal Sword Cecil, right? And then up here, right? Manual emoting the moon grind is not a fast thing. So. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that trapdoors, as annoying as they are, trapdoors or Sylph Cave were probably the best grind options that people had available to them here, unless they went through Wyvern early.
And with a Cecil, there's not a good chance I was going to go through Wyvern, if at all.
And that was actually something that was... Ben's agility situation was fantastic the whole seed, right? And we saw it again and again where you had slower fights. Your Calbrena fight, where they got punches in beforehand, right? Et cetera, right? Multiple times we saw Cecil's agility mattered, right? Like it just when he has a crystal sword, it doesn't matter enough.
Whew. Yes, that was a very exhausting one here.
Mm-hmm.
Oscar's had a reputation of delivering some spicy seeds, and that was no exception.
Yeah, Oscar's got is getting the rep for cruelty.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts before we turn you loose to whatever you have going on for the rest of the night?
Any plays you're particularly proud of? Anything? Yeah. That's something that I've actually kind of interested in a 2-hour seed, right? Like, is there something that stood out to you as like, yes, right? Like, I did something very smart there, right? Like,
it was probably the apple buy. It's like once I cleared out, it's like, all right, shop isn't great here, but I figured, but yeah, the first time I had apples, I might potentially need that, and it turns out I did.
No, that was definitely a good mental thing. I knew there were apples there, but when you were going there, I was, why are we going back here? And then suddenly I was like, oh, we're buying a stack of apples. So that was definitely a heads up play, right? Like, something that doesn't come up a lot. So, yeah, I think that was definitely that was a big, like, everyone's like, oh, right. That totally works. I actually thought for a second you might be going in with even a lower level Rosa, because Rosa's good to go at 38, right? Like, once she's got Cure 4. I was curious if you're going to try and go in with just barely functional Rosa, but you went for the full Cecil at 45. Oh yeah, like you didn't have silk webs either. Silk webs were on the moon.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah, I didn't see none of those. So like, it was going to be a fast fight regardless here. So it's like, all right, I need to get the agility situation as manageable as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Tell it's going to be napping, so like I'm going to have fewer turns to cycle through here.
Yep.
So
no, I mean, I think that was all very smart. Could have gone in with a lower Rosa, but your damage was Cecil. Right, like 100% Crystal Sword Cecil was your damage dealer. Getting him at perfect agility was exactly the right move. Like, I think that you had the right plan for the Z fight. Right, like, so no question. I think that your setup was right, like at the end right there was right on point. No question in my mind.
Yeah, given the characters along the way here, like you can, I suppose you can go back and think, yeah, maybe the cane here would have been helpful here. Then bump him up a little bit here, but yeah, like you can't.
I mean, we had a viable white spear and you had plenty of money, right? Like, imagine if you taken the cane for Sid. Right, like that's the biggest interesting thought to me, is that like we had access to a white spear cane, defense sword cane, Avenger cane possibly, and right, like neither of you pulled the trigger because the amount of experience left in the seed wasn't all that high. But yeah, it's an interesting thought.
Yeah, so like trying to find a grind here enough here, especially in cases where there may not be a grind like today.
Exactly, right? Like if it's not Darkness Crystal, like you can't slingshot him, right? So that's like neither of you fell for that trap, right? Like that could have been a thing, right? But neither of you fell for that trap, and so I mean, again, it's an interesting thing that both of you happen to make the same decision on. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's there's definitely a lot to take away from this seed, and like I said, at the end, I think the way you played it at the end was very good. I think a lot. I like a lot of the things you did in general. Definitely clearing Fabul paid off, or clearing Eblin paid off, but I think it was right, and whether it paid off or not.
Yeah, like I'll revisit here and see, what you could have done differently here. But yeah, that was like it's a good thing I didn't have any plans tonight.
Well, you might have plans in a couple weeks. First win, you need 2 to get to the play-in race, and you got your first. So,
yeah, this takes a little weight off the shoulders here, but I know I need to win at least one more. Yep. Odin group, I start off 1-0 here and then drop the next 2. So yeah, I don't want to repeat that here. And whoever I'm going up against Hook is Also going to be tough competition here, but I've had tough competition a long way. Came from was in a very tough group with a lot of very good competitors here, and yeah, I'm gonna take a breath, enjoy my win tonight, and then get ready for the next match.
That's the only way to do it. 1 week at a time. So
congratulations once again.
Yep. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone on the Restream team. Putting on to help put on a show here for everyone here, and of course, and GG's to my opponent here, benbenrx8 as well. Good
Yep. Yep. Good games to you both. And yes, we have been as Ben finishes up. A quick reminder. For Asuka 424 and Bad Karma, behind the scenes, doing great work. But Ben is done.
Yeah. GG's to Ben with an official time of 1 second. Let me check my. There it is. 2 hours, 16 minutes, and 59 seconds. Unfortunately, after the long slog of that seed, Ben has decided that enough is enough for tonight. He wants to go, get sleep and stuff.
Yeah,
totally understandable after that grind.
No, I mean, no shade. That was a tough one. It was a tough one with a tough karate fight that just kept slipping away from him, right? And then just a couple things slipped away from him there, and you see the difference in times. 16 to 04, right? That's about where the karate fight lived, right? If Ben had gotten through the karate fight a little faster, right? We have had a different result. So I cannot blame Ben for just being kind of I'm done with tonight.
Yes.
But
in the meantime, we're Ben being done here means that your time with Mecha and myself is rapidly coming to an end, but that doesn't mean the free enterprise fun has to end. We'll be sending you on over to Flurry, who is doing some tables practice. So let's go cheer on Flurry.
If you thought that the hook seeds could be a little painful, table flags is a lot painful. Thank you all for spending time with us on the Free Enterprise channel tonight. We have more races tomorrow and a couple more weeks of races before we even get play-ins for Hook and Magma. So keep coming back. We'll keep broadcasting them for you.